Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. They said, say Nick, what you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack or in my bag, yeah. They said, say Nick, what you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack or in my bag, yeah. Frozen, neck is frozen, catch me rolling.
Our top 5 segment. Nick, why don't you tell the people what our top 5 is this week?
Right, so the season's winding down. We talked about MVP discussion going on. Well, it's also Rookie of the Year discussion going on. And we're giving some love here to the offensive side of the football. And we did some thinking, and we each came up with a list of the top 5 rookie seasons in the NFL, offensive only. So each of us have a list. We're going to go through the top 5 rookie seasons in NFL history. And I'm going to go ahead and go first, and then you want to follow up after me?
Sure.
Sure. So I'm going to go number 5 for me. This is Ben Roethlisberger with the Steelers in 2004. You know, people forget, but Ben Roethlisberger was kind of a small name, right? He came out of the MAC conference, went to the University of Miami, Ohio, got drafted in the middle first round by the Steelers, who many people thought already were okay with quarterback. They had Tommy Maddox. Maddox gets hurt, and then Roethlisberger comes in and literally does not lose a game, right, until the AFC Championship game. Goes 15-1, first time a rookie's ever done that, and then wins a playoff game at home against the Jets before losing to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. It's unbelievable. You always talk about rookies struggling. Ben Roethlisberger didn't lose until the AFC Championship game. An absolutely unbelievable start to his career, which has been a Hall of Fame career, and it began with his rookie year in 2004. Number 4 on my list, Torrey Holt, wide receiver with the then St. Louis Rams in 1999. So people forget, right? This was 1999. The Rams were terrible. Coming off a really bad year. They got Marshall Faulk. They had Trent Green at quarterback. He got hurt. Some guy named Kurt Warner comes up out of nowhere. But they also got wide receiver Torrey Holt in the first round that season, and he came in and had a huge year and created, along with Faulk and Warner, the greatest show on turf. And that team was explosive. They scored a bunch of points. They ended up flying through the regular season. Warner was the MVP. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. Torrey Holt catches a touchdown in the Super Bowl in the first half. A great rookie year for Holt, an absolutely awesome start to his career, and winning the Super Bowl's first year. Great accomplishment for him in that offense. Number 3, Randy Moss, 1998 Minnesota Vikings. Randy Moss was kind of not only an afterthought in the draft, but a lot of teams passed on him, including the Dallas Cowboys. We'll get to that in a second. He was an athletic freak, but people were worried about some of the off-the-field issues he had in college at Florida State and then at Marshall. He comes in the NFL in 1998, pairs with Chris Carter, Randall Cunningham, Carter at wide receiver, Cunningham at quarterback, and they explode on the NFL, scoring more than 500 points, going 15-1 as well. And Randy Moss sets a rookie reception touchdowns record with 17. And his most memorable performance was against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. He only caught 3 passes that day, but for 150 yards, and all 3 went for touchdowns. Unbelievable performance for Randy Moss. Unbelievable rookie year. He's number 3 on my list. Number 2 is a guy near and dear to my heart from the 1970s. This is Tony Dorsett with the Dallas Cowboys. Dorsett was a very well-known. He won the Heisman Trophy winner as a running back with Pitt in the mid-1970s, and he was going to be the number 1 overall pick. But for whatever reason, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were an expansion franchise, decided to take Ricky Bell, running back out of Southern Cal. Their head coach, Tampa's head coach, had a connection with Bell. So Dallas then traded a few picks. Remember, Dallas was good, to the number 2 overall pick and drafted Dorsett. It was considered a massive train robbery. Dorsett comes in, rushes for 1,000 yards. Dallas flies through the regular season, ends up winning the Super Bowl in blowout fashion over the Denver Broncos. Was the start of a Hall of Fame career for Dorsett. Awesome start, winning the Super Bowl his rookie year. Big impact right away, pairing with Staubach and Drew Pearson. He's number 2 on my list. Number 1, Jim Brown. Jim Brown is probably the best football player he's ever played. I know Tom Brady's got a few claims to that title, but no one has been more dominant than Jim Brown. He joined the Cleveland Browns in the 1950s out of Syracuse. First year in the NFL, leads them to an NFL championship, leads the NFL in rushing, would go on to break every record throughout his career. There's not a record that Jim Brown essentially didn't have from the running back position when he retired. He still has the highest yards per carry in NFL history. And keep in mind, he was back playing a position that was much closer to fullback, the way the fullback position is thought of today. an unbelievable player, probably the greatest player of all time in my book. And he came in the NFL with a bang, winning the NFL championship his rookie year in the league. All right, my honorable mention, another guy near and dear to my heart. This is Dak Prescott. And great rookie year, obviously came in, went 13-3, won the division title from Dallas. But I think the way he came in was kind of special, right? Because Romo was the guy. Everyone knew Romo. He was the face of the franchise. You know, they had won a playoff game a couple years earlier. The year before Romo got hurt, and they really wanted Romo to come back because remember, Romo got hurt in 2015. They were terrible all that year. You know, coming into 2016, hey, Romo's back. They're going to be good. And he breaks his back essentially in the preseason. And everyone's like, there's the season. You know, it's all falling apart. This is another terrible team, another 4-win team. Who is this Dakota Prescott? Who the heck is this guy? Well, all he does is come in, go 13-3 as a starter, lead him to the division title. And you know, kind of just takes over, you know, coming out of nowhere a little bit, kind of almost like Kurt Warner with the Rams and kind of joining the NFL hierarchy of big names and football. And I think that's really just a really, really cool deal from the way that shifted in just like a short period of time to go, Romo's the guy, season's ruined. Prescott comes out of nowhere, has a great rookie year. And that's why he's my honorable mention of the top rookie seasons in NFL history.
That's a great list, Nick. And I think, yeah, Dak has definitely had an incredible season. No one would have expected him to do what he did. But that leads us to my list. And right out of the gate, I sort of broke the rules already a little bit. It's not exactly a defensive player. But number 5 on my list is Devin Hester. Chicago Bear and Baltimore Ravens legend Devin Hester. There has never been a better return man / wide receiver, that's why his offense, than Devin Hester. And especially as a rookie in 2006, he came in, he scored 7 touchdowns all on returns that season. He took 3 punts back for touchdowns. He took 3 kickoffs back for touchdowns, including one in the Super Bowl that year. And he also got a missed field goal, returned 108 yards for, at the time, an NFL record longest return until broken by Nick Jacoby Jones. Yep. Yes, 109. But he took, at the time, NFL record longest return, 108 yards back for a touchdown. What more can you do? Like, you break an NFL record, run a touchdown back in the Super Bowl, and like probably set records for return touchdowns in a year. Like, how much more of a breakout season could you want as a player? So that's my number 5. Number 4, an offensive lineman, you may ask, and I say to you, yes, Ryan Clady of the Denver Broncos. This guy was a absolute monster. He did things that people couldn't even dream of. As a rookie, he came in and he only allowed half a sack all season. Half a sack. He's the only offensive tackle in the league that has allowed fewer than 1 sack that year. He also only committed 3 penalties. Like, what more could you want from a rookie tackle to come in, not allow any sacks, and he doesn't draw penalties either? He obviously is smart. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's not going to get called off the ball or anything like that. That is just one of the best. You could not ask more of a season from a rookie, and that's why he's one of the best seasons by a rookie I could ever think of. All right, number 3. I'm going to go way, way back now, Nick. We have, in my number 3 spot, Bill Groman. Legendary, I guess. Some call him an end. He's kind of was like a wide receiver of sorts. He played for the Houston Oilers in the 60s. He's a Hall of Famer George Blanda at the time, and obviously having a great quarterback Blake Blanda. He caught 72 passes that year, almost 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns, and he led the NFL in yards per catch, longest touchdown, and most yards per game that season. An incredible feat for a rookie. He didn't really do too much after that, so to speak. He kind of like fell off a little bit, but that rookie season for Groman, was something of we had never seen before at the time. He was probably like one of the first true superstar receivers to come out in a rookie season and do something like that. My number 2 pick is one we all know, more of a college legend and less of an NFL legend, but he was still great as well. We've got Earl Campbell, another Houston Oiler. He was the top overall pick in the 1978 draft. He exploded on the scene. He was dominant his first few years in the NFL, but as a rookie in 1978, he carried the ball 300 times for almost 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns, won the rushing title that season, was named Offensive Player of the Year. I don't even know if they had Rookie of the Year at that time, but still, he was Offensive Player of the Year, and that was his first for 3 straight seasons to be Offensive Player of the Year. What more could you want from a guy come out and just put up a dominant performance as the best rusher in the NFL that year? I don't think you can get much better than that. Unless you are number 1 on my list, best rookie season, Gail Sears of the Chicago Bears. Now, Gail Sears is a legend in Chicago. He's known, people say he has one of the greatest rookie seasons ever in NFL history because he did it all. In 1965 when he came into the league, he rushed for like 867 yards, 14 touchdowns, and an insane 5.2 yards per carry. He caught 30 passes for 500 yards and another 6 touchdowns. He returned 16 punts, 14.9 yards per punt, and he returned 1 for a touchdown. And he also returned kicks, 21 kicks, 31.4 yards per kick, and he returned 1 of those for a touchdown as well. 22 touchdowns. At that time, that was the most touchdowns in NFL history in one season. And he also set a single season record for all-purpose yards for 2,272 all-purpose yards. And he had one of the greatest games by any players ever, probably, when he played against the San Francisco 49ers. And he's just one of the greats, and that is why I have him in the number 1 spot on my list. Now, my honorable mention is someone that kind of gets forgotten a lot. Denver Broncos running back Mike Anderson. Now, he's got a pretty cool story. He was in the Marine Corps for 4 years after high school, and then he went to college for 4 years after that, and this led him to be drafted in the year 2000 by the Broncos. He's like 27 when he was a rookie. That's like a Hayden Hurst levels of being an old man. He played all 16 games as a rookie, but he started 12. And in Shanahan's offense, he got off to a quick start. He carried the ball 300 times, 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 yards a carry. We've got, the same old. That seems to be the magic number. 1,500 yards, a lot of touchdowns in the teens, and 5 yards a carry. What a great rookie season. And in week 13 that year, when they played the New Orleans Saints, he ran for 250 yards, 4 touchdowns. What an incredible season by a rookie to come out and show that you're one of the best running backs in the NFL at that point in time in the league. So that is who I have on my list for best rookie seasons.
Yeah, it's a great list. I think one of the takeaways with the Ronan and the Sailor and the Sayers picks is, remember that they got those numbers in a shortened season.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like we forget the seasons weren't 16 games back then, no, and they still got
65. It was a 14-game season.
Yeah,
so it was a lot harder to put up those numbers in fewer games, obviously. So much more impressive for Sayers and crew for what they were able to do.
Yeah, and that, these are just incredible athletes doing incredible things. You'd be happy to have pretty much anyone on this list on your team at that point in time.